All right, moving on to item 10.0, Superintendent's Report. I will turn it over to Dr. Little.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just take, before I get into the meat of my report, I would like to just take a small point of privilege. In January of each year, we celebrate the members of our Board of Trustees as part of National School Board Recognition Month. Our school board members volunteer their service, shoulder critical responsibilities, and make sometimes difficult decisions for our district, all without pay. They focus on putting students first by keeping the future success of each one in front and center in everything they do. They set aside their differences to work together for this one goal and to answer this one question: what is best for students? They develop policies, make decisions on complex education initiatives, bear the responsibility for an annual budget, more than 27,000 students, 4,000 employees, not to mention approximately 5.5 million square feet of buildings. They make this 4-year-long commitment just because they believe it is the right thing to do for children. In fact, each board member signed the South Carolina School Board Ethical Principles you see in front of me, or the front of the board chair. I'm not exactly sure where it's at. Doing this enables them to give a visible sign of their vow to uphold effective government's principles and to pledge to improve public education in our communities. So tonight, on behalf of the students, employees, and parents of Lexington District 1, I want to thank you for your service and your efforts to empower each child to design the future. Please join me in expressing appreciation to Board Chair Anne Marie Green, Vice Chair Dr. Brent Powers, Secretary Mike Anderson, and members Jada Garris, Dr. Kyle Guyton, Kathy Henson, and Tim Oswald. Okay, thank you very much for letting me take that just a quick moment. So as part of our superintendent, or part of the superintendent's report tonight, I do want to just tell you that we continue to work with our local delegation to discuss vaccination of public school employees. And I'd like to personally tonight thank Representatives Chris Wooten and Paula Calhoun, as well as Senators Nikki Setzler and Katrina Shealy, for advocating on our behalf. They've really done a lot of work behind the scenes. And I would also like to thank Lexington Medical Center CEO Todd Augsburger for his help over the last couple of weeks as well. He's been a tremendous champion for public schools and wanted to advocate and advance public school employees as part of the work for vaccination. So I'm very thankful for him as well. I think when you look at all the work that's been done over the last 10 to 12 days, the good news is that it does appear that DHEC will allow us to vaccinate staff who want it when the time comes. We have had a logistics team led by Mr. Jeff Caldwell, and they will be prepared when the time comes. So our goal is to be ready so that we don't have to get ready. We're not sure when the time can come, but if they tell us, hey, we're going to do it on whatever date, we want to hit a button and start the plan. We don't want to have to then start planning and then delay that process even more than it's been delayed at this point. So we have a logistics team working on that. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell, for helping to lead that effort. In fact, our plan really kicks off this Friday. We have a really interesting inaugural event, since appropriate wording for this week. We have Mary Beth Hill is going to be working with Amy Wood, our school nurse, as well as Dr. I believe it's Elizabeth Kelly. Jane Kelly. I was close. Elizabeth is close enough. But Dr. Jane Kelly at DHEC, and they will be doing a fact versus fiction about the vaccine and about what they're going to try to separate those two things. We think it's important to have an informational session for our employees so that they can make the best possible decision for them and their families. And just to let you know, when the time comes, I will be eager to have my vaccine. I look forward to maybe this summer taking a trip someplace that's not included in the living room. So I'm all about the vaccination of taking the vaccine, and I'll be supporting that. But we want to make sure our employees have all the information possible. And so we actually start that plan this Friday. It is unclear at the moment when we will have the vaccine available to public school employees. right now, the latest information that I have is that we are still in 1B, but that currently there is no prioritization of us in 1B. And you got to keep in mind that 1B, while that sounds like, well, they're on 1A, 1B is coming up next, it's been expressed to me that there are 1 million people in 1B. So there's a lot of people in 1B, and so it's going to take the state at the current rates of vaccination quite some time to work through 1B. So that's why we're advocating to prioritize public school employees. But I'm also confident that we can work something out with Lexington Medical Center as part of that partnership as well. So we have some flexibility, but we're not sure when the state is going to get to 1B and what that will look like. But again, when we get there, we're going to be ready to go and ready to step up and roll out our plan. So we are excited about that. I do also want to thank our entire team for what I consider to be a very successful virtual week that we came back on January the 4th. Across the district, I saw schools that were well prepared to approach this challenge, and they were tremendous yet again. I can tell you as a father, I was incredibly impressed by how organized and focused the entire week was. I spoke to one principal who said it was, quote, among the best virtual teaching of the year took place that week. And it seems like this is the consensus across the district. The schools and the teachers and everybody associated with this effort were absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you, from a human resources perspective, I've talked to Mike Stacy every single day about kind of where we are and are we able to safely run schools. And that virtual week was absolutely critical. It did serve as an accelerator week, which is what we predicted it would do, the 2 weeks after the holiday, 2 weeks after Christmas Day. We predicted it would serve as an accelerant week, and it certainly did. And so by having that virtual week, lots of our positives that came out of the break never set foot on campus. So they didn't have an impact of quarantining more students or how, across the board. So we feel, at least at the moment, we feel like we're able to move forward, and we're going to continue to monitor that data each and every day. Now, speaking of that, the next 2 weeks will certainly be very critical. Have we reached the peak of the post-holiday season? That's going to be one of the questions. And are we moving back towards pre-holiday numbers? So those are the questions we want to really pay attention to over the next couple of weeks to see if we're able to then change our instructional model. Again, our goal initially was to bring back high schoolers 4+1 at the semester break. We still, that still is our goal, is to try to bring back our high schoolers back. But again, we're going to monitor that data and see where it's leading us before we make those decisions. Finally, I'll also tell you that we are finalizing a survey that will be sent out to our families about their desire for Lula in a non-COVID world. Meaning, this year we spent a lot of time and energy and effort dealing with Lula. I see Dr. Bissell here. I know she probably has heard that firsthand about all the challenges associated with Lula. And what we continue to look at is what then will that look like next year? What are if you look at our families as our customers, what will the market bear for the future of virtual education? We do believe we can continue to offer it at a very high level. And so we're going to be surveying people about, hey, would you be interested in this if COVID were no longer in the picture? Because we want to offer that long-term viability. We're focusing, our last conversation this morning, we will be focusing on grades 6 through 12 about that. And we're going to start with our middle school and high schoolers because we find that's where most likely we're going to get lots more action associated with that. But we do want to find out really what the level of interest is before we move forward, and that will help drive us. So we will be bringing back to you some data, I believe, in February. February is going to be a big one if the conversation around the last two policies or anything, because we also have a strategic planning update and some other things like that. But we want to bring back to you some data because we want to highlight, here is what, if our customers say that that's not really a level of interest at all, then we will move on and keep moving. But if it is a high level of interest, we do want to make sure we're planning that and preparing that for our community. Again, I'll tell you, as challenging as this year has been, online learning has been an absolute godsend for some people. And they've been incredibly effective in that learning environment. Other people not so much. So we want to make sure we can provide an option if the interest level is really there. So that's what we're doing. But we will bring you some more information in short order.
And I do think we need to be careful. I mean, we say post-COVID, but again, that may be more than months, maybe years. And there may be other infectious phenomenon. So I think having that online model as something that we're practicing and perfecting, because it takes a while to continue to perfect that model, is important for us strategically to continue education effectively in this district. So.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that is my update on just kind of where we stand and where we are.